Hello friends, welcome to the show Dr. G.K. Goswami IPS. Today we have with us a very renowned technocrat cum diplomat from Embassy of Israel in India at New Delhi. She is Miss Maya Sherman. So welcome Miss Maya to our show, and I am really grateful that you have spare time to visit our institute UPSIFS Lucknow, and you have delivered a talk on AI, its implication and use case. So the students, the faculty were delighted to receive you, and your words of wisdom has imparted a new vistas to the AI, new technology and various legal compliances in the technological world. Having said that, I would like to ask certain broad questions for the better application to our audience. So first of all, a common perception about technology, particularly in the era of AI, people believe that AI may replace people, or in other words, the employability may be decreased. So what is your opinion as technocrat, as diplomat, and having vast experience of diplomacy, technology and all?
Thank you so much for this question. First of all, thank you so much for having me. Wonderful to be in campus and getting to interact with you and faculty and students and seeing the vision of this institution more than anything.
Thank you.
I feel that it's a very complex understanding of how the future of work would look like.
Very true.
I'll start as the positivist person that I am, despite being an ethicist. I do not think that we are going into an era in which humans will be no more relevant. AI is currently shaped by humans, designed by humans, the inputs are human, the biases as well. As long as we're having this human dominance in the human-machine interaction, I feel that the question is more on how future humans would look like. So the question of human versus machine, I would say humans are still taking the lead.
Sure.
But what I do want to say is that, of course, humans are very different, whether it's in India, outside of India, in Israel, across different countries, within sectors as well. As in every business evolution, whether it's tech-related one or non-tech-related one, some will gain benefits and some will lose.
Yes, sure.
Recent reports of the World Economic Forum indicate we are speaking, I think, about more than 150 million jobs that will be created. We are speaking on a new workforce, which is fantastic.
You mean to say 150 million?
Yes,
That's
positions.
Great.
In the same time, 92 million positions will be removed. There are somewhere in between, there are a lot of positions that are being shaped. And that's true, I think, for every revolution. The winners, the losers, and the ones who are swinging. I mean,
yes.
Whether they'll win or lose.
So it depends actually how much equipped you are.
True. And if I'm speaking specifically on the Indian case study, in an economy in which the informal sector is more than, I think it's more than 90%, I've seen recently, I think 94%, some percentages, not everyone in the informal sector have the access to technology, meaning the digital divide will increase. Our role, especially in the new workforce, is to make sure that not only that humans will be in power, but to make sure that everyone understands this revolution and have the right skills. So if you're asking me whether we will see humans still leading, yes. The question is, what kind of groups of humans will be leading? How will we define new humans? And to sum it up, I hope that we'll be able to support all those who do not have this intuitive connection to technology. And that's, I think, most of the initiatives and projects I was working on in India, specifically because the ecosystem here focuses a lot on the new future of work. So I'm positivist, but in the same time, there are some mechanisms that I feel we should put in place to protect those that do not always have the connectivity and are more likely to be harmed by this revolution.
So you mean to say that there are a group, that those are going to be more benefited and rather is a vulnerable group. They have to be taken care that how their interests should also be empowered.
There is also this in-between group, which is very important. Almost think on the elections.
Okay.
You have the ones that know what they want for both sides, and you have the ones who swing. Same here. Now we have the power to make sure that groups are going to the right direction. Some will go to, I guess, wrong direction.
Very true.
We always need to understand that it's not black and white, especially not in new positions. AI is pretty new as a technology. There are other technologies in place. And it's not that we want all our professions to be only digital. There is a very strong offline component for our jobs. We need to see how we are protecting all of them. And some positions, of course, will not survive, but it's in the same meaning that we no longer have tails, a human being something. It is an evolution in the most Darwinistic manner. But because we are still in position and control of AI, I feel it's also our moral obligation to make sure that everyone knows where they want to go.
Yes, that's right. Another very important and pertinent issue related to AI is that AI basically is data driven. So the quality of data which actually engineers get trained, that depend actually how the results is. So suppose there is a kind of manipulation in data somehow, then do you think that AI may be a very detrimental in some cases, like somebody may implant something or maybe detrimental for some section of people or something like that? So how do you see the quality of data and the output given by the AI tools, or whatever way application you made based on the application? So this is the relationship. How do you see that?
It's a very true and painful point about AI and generally about data, because sometimes we are initially thinking on the loopholes in collection, and there are a lot of loopholes in the collection of data. It's not always obvious to have data sets across discipline. But once we have the data, we're able to collect it, the question of quality is becoming important.
Yes.
Because it's more than quality. Think on the frequency of errors. And errors is an interesting concept in AI. You have statistical errors. You have biases.
Biases, yes.
Biases can be cultural, historical, social, environment, everything. Every human domain can have a bias.
Yes.
Now, put all of this together with the fact that we don't really understand how AI works the way that we understand humans in the way they work. And again, the issue here is of accountability and transparency.
Yes.
How it's all connected. The fact that we are having issues with, again, data collections, interpretation, analysis, this is a direct implication on the quality. So it's not only the question whether I was able to collect the data. The question is, what data am I getting? If my data is biased, for instance, towards certain gender, ethnicities, if it's biased certain towards universities even. Imagine, for instance, the case in which only Ivy Leagues in the US are getting certain services. Now, these things can happen because there is a programmer who put an input. Maybe this programmer studied in an Ivy League before. Yeah. Now, the machine will learn whatever they saw with the developer, and that's my output. Now, this is not high quality. The question of quality is becoming crucial in public services, because the fact that we're using AI is because there is something in us that wants to come and say, I don't have the capacity as humans to do a lot of things at once. I want to be efficient. I take a machine, there are 50 versions of me working at the same time. But would we still want that, knowing that maybe 48 versions of me would give me wrong outputs?
Correct.
The question of efficiency versus quality is becoming then crucial, because if we want to work at scale, there is sometimes the risk of us not getting enough quality or enough validation of the output that we're getting. In certain domains, it's not as critical. Think of marketing. Do I care sometimes what kind of audiences I'm marketing to? Some cases, yes, some cases not, but it's not a life or death question. But imagine this, for instance, will be the data sets connected to legal jurisdiction.
Yeah.
Me as a judge, I'm getting now AI-driven insights on what I should judge in my next case. I want to make sure they have quality data. If not, someone might go to prison.
Yeah.
And that is sometimes the level of severity that we need to think on AI and its implications in the public sector. Some cases are, I mean, it's good to think of it, but they will not be as critical. If we are speaking on AI in certain domains, the question of quality is almost mandatory. But of course, it is complex because, and I'll sum it up with that, data is a value chain of steps. It's not just I have the data and that's it. No, it's collection, interpretation, analysis, dissemination. Every part of this value chain can be hampered and the quality will be reduced.
Yes.
So, good question, but think that quality is still something that we're trying to enhance as time passes, and probably that's also where most AI-related positions will go into, to make sure that we're able to enhance the quality of the output that we're getting.
So, Maya, tell me one more question which is very relevant, that there is also a possibility that the people who are at the lower side of the receiving end, right? And one is the dominant side, like especially in business and other areas like that. So data is also skewed like that on these various parameters, maybe as you rightly mentioned, the gender, the race, in India the caste base, then your financial and resource, availability and all. So there are so many dichotomies, so many discrimination in the society. There is one school of thought saying that these technology, particularly AI and others, will divide that gap more. Like the people who are at the receiving end, we do not have the means. They will be totally dependent on the people who are actually technocrat. And there is a saying these days globally that now the politics will be dominated by technologists, right? So in this era, how do you perceive the intervention of technology, AI in every sphere of life?
Such a true and thorough insight, I think, on the situation, because especially in the AI domain, we've always researched the way that intersectionality comes into place. Yes. Meaning, my level of privilege and punishment will be determined by different factors connected to my identity. Me as a foreigner, diplomat, studying in a certain place, coming from Israel, living in India, there are certain things I'll be exposed to, certain things will be inhibited from me. But this is an important statement because in AI, what usually happens currently, because it's becoming such a gigantic, almost monster that like every domain is trying to take, those that are able to understand it and access it properly are enjoying more. There is an intersectionality between vulnerable communities and the digital divide. Usually certain groups, true globally, that they will not be able to enjoy certain features connected to innovation. And then automatically their opportunities in life might be hampered because it's a cycle of I don't want to say punishment, but it's a cycle of prohibition in a way. I would say that I feel that the role of India in the world, especially in the AI landscape, and this is something that I think I was quite inspired to as an AI person myself, is this understanding here that AI should be for the masses. Now, not every country comes and puts it quite frank, saying everyone should enjoy AI revolution. But here, when you're thinking on VLEs, the work for smart villages, generally the way that the government here is working on AI skilling from the very young ages across institutions, I feel that this kind of work is definitely something that helps us fight it a bit. Even when we're thinking on the foundational models in India, again, hopefully this will be one of the first of its kind initiatives that will be language sensitive based on, of course, the multilingual diversity in India. These are all things that help us make sure that even vulnerable communities will have a chance and opportunity to understand what AI is on the longer run.
Yes.
So there are a lot of initiatives, but I do feel that what India has brought to this discussion is the ability to think that AI should be accessible. It's clearly more complex in such a diverse community and population, but that's also the place where the needs come much more. You will less see this kind of discussions in other countries because the need for diversity is not so entrenched in their identity. So I think that this is something that scholars are working on. I feel that we are gradually going to this kind of discussions and initiatives that will enable also vulnerable communities to enjoy more and more what AI offers, and more than anything, at least to be given the choice to learn about it and decide whether they want to join or not.
Yeah.
But at least to have the autonomy to choose. And I think that's what we are trying to work on right now.
So, Maya, you have mentioned in very profound manner that AI is going to supplement or empower the human beings, no doubt. It will enhance the employability, but of course you have to tune with the changing scenario. And then you have mentioned about the geopolitical scenario in a very lucid manner. Concluding this whole discussion, I have one more question to you, that the data is precious, data is gold mine. Data protection is the biggest challenge the globe is facing now. Okay.
True.
And in this scenario, because everybody is looking how to protect the data, because your reputation, your finance, your every valuable information is actually in the form of data. And now in India, privacy also, right of privacy made fundamental.
True.
Despite privacy has not been defined anywhere, right? So in these challenges now, the protection of data becomes most vital. I believe, and this is, I am just giving you one very, you can say, food for thought, that cyber insurance is going to be in a very big way. And I generally perceive, and I always say to the budding professionals in the forensic science, technology and all, that you should put more effort for cyber, insurance, cyber, what you call examiners or auditors for your cyber security and all. So how do you see this two aspect? One is cyber insurance and another is the cyber auditors. This is going to be, in my opinion, as the founding director of this institute, that these are very niche area and will provide a lot of employability to the students.
So this is, I think, first of all, a very promising direction. I can say also from the Israeli perspective, we have focused a lot on cyber insurance over the years. And I think that it comes under an understanding that when you are facing so many digital risks, you need to know how to manage the threats.
Very right.
So the understanding on how to manage the threats in unpredictable settings is exactly that. So you are, by the way, I just heard on AI insurance.
Yeah.
I think everyone is trying also now to go AI insurance, so this is a new one. But let's be frank, I mean, I think cyber insurance is slightly more mature as a discipline.
Yeah.
I feel that as humans, what we usually tend to do when we're seeing something like it's slightly new, bigger, uncertain, we are trying to see how to tame it in a way. And especially when we are having so many data points, the digital divide is expanding and minimizing in the same time, meaning if you want to access Gen AI, it's easier, but you still need the connectivity. The cyber threats are just becoming immense. For us, the only way that we can deal with this is trying to gain a bit more the control. Cyber insurance is one of these things, because in a very bright way, we're coming and saying, we know that we have so many cyber threats we're not even aware of, but we have to be more risk-based in our approach. I will say, and I think that's one of the most interesting points about regulation today, especially around data privacy, you would see different countries addressing differently everything connected to data privacy. I think especially now when you're thinking on DPDP and generally the approach to data, it's more holistic in approach, slightly resembling a bit more the European perspective of GDPR. Israel and US, for instance, are taking more risk-based approach, event-related. And there is no right or wrong, but I think especially in this area of cyber, the way that countries interact, the way that countries are doing different initiatives around cyber threats and generally digital threats out there, there is so much to learn from each other and from this knowledge exchange. So I definitely agree, everything connected to cyber insurance and audits is going to be a very big asset for anyone who wants to be part of the digital age generally. The intersection with other technologies are interesting. AI is almost a threat multiplier because AI creates a lot of new data points for everyone, meaning we are more exposed.
Yes.
We can attack more, but let's also finish it in a good side. We can also defend ourselves better. We can create better models for risk assessment and insurance thanks to this. So it's almost like we can create more, we can also harm more, but in the end, we'll find some kind of balance, I feel, in this space.
Yeah. So rightly mentioned that science is a good servant but bad master. So we have to make AI as a servant, not the master. So with this, thank you very much, Maya, to be with us. Entire almost half day you were with the UPSIFS. You have spent valuable time with us. Your contribution to this institute will be memorable, and we look forward for you to address the gathering on 19th March. We are having a very big show, a summit we are conducting on cyber warfare. So let us hope for our better coordination and cooperation in the future for the better humanity across the globe. Thank you very much once again. Namaskar.
Thank you so much. It was wonderful to be here. Namaste.
Thank you.